they never come empty-handed. And they never come empty-hearted either, but their hearts are filled with hunger, not affection. The mistake isn't in giving. The mistake is in forgetting that every connection is a contract signed in silence, paid in time, attention, comfort, or leverage. You were taught that love is unconditional, that loyalty is sacred, that friendship is its own reward. But reality writes different terms. In the shadows, beneath every kind smile, is a motive, a transaction cloaked in politeness. People gravitate toward you, not because your soul shines like a beacon, but because you represent access. Access to comfort, to attention, to status, to escape. You are a marketplace in motion, a buffet of emotional and material utility. And unless you charge what you're worth, they will feast on your essence without ever offering coin. Machiavelli 5 centuries ago wrote that men are ungrateful, deceptive, and eager for gain. He wasn't condemning them. He was describing the terrain of power. In that terrain to survive, you must either be the one who negotiates terms or the one who is passively priced by others. Start looking closely. That compliment, its bait, that apology. A down payment on future permission, that sudden call after months of silence, it's a withdrawal from the vault of your kindness. Learn to see it, and more importantly, learn to tax it. Your time is currency. Your attention is leverage. Your presence is a premium experience. Every word you give is inventory. Every favor a loan. Track them, record them, and then decide who is paying interest and who is overdrawing your emotional account. This isn't bitterness. This is sovereignty. The modern world sells selflessness like it's a virtue, but unchecked generosity is not nobility, it is unpaid labor. And the world doesn't reward unpaid labor. It exploits it. You don't need to stop giving. You need to start charging. In respect, in loyalty, in access, in obedience, because if you don't set the price, someone else will. And it will always be lower than you deserve. Power begins with perception, and perception begins with value. So set yours high. Make every smile a negotiation. Make every moment costly. Let them pay not just in thanks, but in action. You are no longer for free. Power doesn't shout, it doesn't beg, and it never explains. In a world addicted to volume performance and applause, the real kings remain silent. Not out of weakness, but because silence is the language of dominance. The lion does not announce his hunger. He simply waits, and the jungle goes quiet. You are conditioned to believe that influence comes from expression, that the louder you speak, the more you matter, that defending yourself proves your worth. But noise is the armor of the insecure. Only the powerless feel the need to be constantly understood. Power, true power, is felt, not declared. Machiavelli warned that a prince must conceal his intentions, mask his emotions, and strike only when the opponent is blind. Not because deception is cruel, but because clarity is a liability in the game of power. The moment they see your blueprint, they prepare their sabotage. The second they can predict you, they can control you. Predictability is poverty in the currency of dominance. Look around in every room, the one who speaks least controls most. The man who responds slowly, who watches without flinching, who withholds his reaction, holds the leash. Others talk themselves into weakness. They confess without pressure. They explain without being asked. They reveal their thresholds, their values, their desperation, all for free. Meanwhile, the one who masters the art of unreadability builds a fortress no emotion can breach. This isn't passivity. This is control under tension, like a bowstring drawn tight, like a blade sheathed behind a diplomat's smile. When you become unreadable, you become untouchable. They can't prepare for what they can't anticipate. They fear your calm. Your silence becomes a mirror that reflects their insecurity. And in that reflection, they begin to defer, not out of love, out of psychological submission. You want influence? Stop performing. Want respect? Stop reacting. You're not a servant of perception. You are its architect. Don't speak to be heard, speak to direct. Don't react to emotion, observe it, store it, and use it when it serves you. Let others show their weapons. You sharpen yours in private. Emotional neutrality is not weakness. It is the mark of a strategist. To remain still in the storm is to become the storm. Your calm becomes the tension they can't resolve. And what cannot be resolved is feared. Fear is a more durable currency than affection. So learn this. Never show your full hand. Never narrate your pain. Never disclose your next move. Your silence is not absence. It is dominance under disguise. Your stillness is not emptiness. It is potential energy waiting for the perfect fracture point. And when you do speak, make it decisive. Make it final. Let your words cut like verdicts. Let them echo not because they're loud, but because they're rare. That is how power moves. Not in noise, but in shadows. Not in reaction, but in restraint. And when the world finally listens, it will listen in silence. They will drain you. Smile while doing it. Thank you after. And return tomorrow for more. Why? Because you let them. You kept giving, kept showing up, kept bleeding value without ever naming your price. You offered your time, your wisdom, your loyalty, your energy, as if you were a public fountain in the middle of a desert. Free water, no guards, no gates, no tax. And then you were surprised when they brought buckets. Let's make this clear: what is not priced will always be exploited. People don't just use what you offer, they subconsciously assess your value based on what you demand in return. Give too much for free, and you don't just look generous, you look cheap. Accessible, replaceable, weak. Machiavelli once warned, men are ungrateful, fickle, false. He wasn't cynical, he was observant. He understood that human nature is fundamentally transactional. That in politics, love means nothing if it doesn't come with leverage. In life, it's no different. You must charge, not necessarily in money, but in something. Respect, loyalty, obedience, reciprocity, influence. You must attach cost to every ounce of your output. Every conversation you offer must move your position forward. Every favor you grant must establish leverage. Every opportunity you give must deepen someone's debt to you. Look around. The people demanding most from you are often the ones giving the least. The coworker asking for your insights while guarding his own. The friend who always needs your emotional labor but disappears the moment you're in crisis. The partner who takes your stability as entitlement, not a privilege. You taught them that your value comes free. Now it's time to unteach them. Start by auditing your energy like a sovereign audits their kingdom. Who gets your time? Who gets your attention? Who gets your peace? Who drains it? Who multiplies it? Draw a line, then another, then raise a gate. Not out of spite, out of strategy. Make them pay. If someone wants your time, they must respect your boundaries. If they want your advice, they must prove they'll act on it. If they want your loyalty, they must match it. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your mind, your presence, or your effort unless they've earned it. Because the uncomfortable truth is this: the more you give without cost, the more people will resent you, not appreciate you. They'll twist your generosity into obligation. They'll guilt you into servitude. And when you finally say no, they'll brand you selfish for interrupting the free buffet they never had to work for. So you must teach the world how to treat you, not by explaining, by pricing, by walking away when it's not worth your time, by going silent when your value is dismissed, by declining when the return doesn't match the withdrawal. That is how power is reclaimed, not through outrage, through selective access, because the sovereign doesn't beg for appreciation. He taxes presence. He monetizes attention. He rewards loyalty, but never tolerates entitlement. You are not a free product. You are not community service. You are not an emotional vending machine. You are a fortress, and every fortress charges entry. So, from this day forward, stamp a price tag on everything you offer. Let the world learn that your kindness is not weakness. Your effort is not infinite. Your attention is not owed, and your value, finally, has a cost. Every desire they show you is leverage. They've surrendered. Most people spend their lives chasing validation, attention, love, safety, completely unaware that in the act of chasing, they're handing over the keys to their psyche. What they want reveals where they're weak. And the one who sees that weakness first rules. You must retrain your perception. Stop reacting to people's words. Start studying their needs. Because underneath every interaction is a quiet confession, I want something from you. And in that want is your power. Machiavelli understood that fear, not love, preserves kingdoms. But before fear comes need. People obey those who can fulfill or deny their hunger. Whether it's emotional reassurance, financial access status, proximity, or even the illusion of importance, every craving is a lever. The only question is, will you pull it? The colleague constantly borrowing your ideas. He's admitting you are intellectually superior. Leverage that. Make him dependent on your approval, then shape his direction. The lover who panics when you go silent. She's not just in love, she's dependent. Frame your presence as privilege. Reward devotion. Demand consistency. The friend who always needs to talk. He's feeding off your calm, off your clarity. Charge him in loyalty, or cut the cord entirely. You are surrounded by need, not just from others, but from institutions, from systems, from markets, from narratives. And every form of need is a negotiation waiting to happen. Most people give their value and wait to be noticed, but the strategist gives value selectively and prices it aggressively. He doesn't just identify needs, he engineers dependencies. He creates voids, then becomes the only one who can fill them. He becomes a necessity, slowly, quietly, without ever asking for permission. You don't need to manipulate people's emotions. You simply need to understand the economy of what they feel is missing. People are ruled by scarcity of love, of attention, of recognition. Become the supplier of what's scarce, and you control the pace of their world. But never forget the second law of leverage. If you give too much, your leverage dies. People respect what they earn. They grow entitled to what's freely given. That is why power demands boundaries. You must make others qualify to receive what you offer. Every access point must be earned, every favor weighed, every answer delayed until tension builds because leverage lives in anticipation. To command influence is not to scream louder, it is to listen deeper, to see clearer, to spot the need before they do and hold it in your hand like a loaded weapon. Because in the end, power doesn't belong to the strongest, the loudest, or even the smartest. It belongs to the one who understands what everyone else secretly wants and never gives it away without a price. If they can reach you anytime, they'll stop reaching. If they hear you too often, they'll stop listening. Power is not just what you offer, it's how little of it they can touch. In the economy of human behavior, scarcity is the most seductive currency. The more absent you are, the more they crave your presence. The more silent you are, the more weight your words carry. You've been told to stay visible, to be available, to respond quickly. But availability is the death of mystique, and mystique is the birthplace of power. A high-value man isn't everywhere. He's not endlessly accessible, emotionally transparent, or digitally predictable. He exists like a rumor, real enough to command attention, rare enough to breed obsession. Machiavelli warned that too much generosity erodes authority. The same applies to your energy, your time, your attention. Give them freely, and people don't feel gratitude, they feel entitlement. They stop seeing you as power and start seeing you as product. The strategist does the opposite. He withholds strategically. He vanishes deliberately. He starves others of himself until their hunger becomes leverage. He becomes the limited edition experience, not the vending machine. His silence becomes a source of anxiety. His absence, a mirror where others confront their dependence on him. Scarcity works not because you vanish forever, but because you vanish unpredictably. You don't disappear as weakness. You disappear as signal. A message, I am not for everyone. I am not for always. And that message drives value. Luxury brands mastered this. They don't flood the shelves, the sins. They limit production. They They create wait lists, not because they can't produce more, but because they understand psychology. Product. The longer the delay, the deeper the desire. The fewer the options, the greater the obsession. You are no different. Be rare, be quiet. Then return stronger, sharper, elevated. Each appearance should feel like an event, not a routine. Each word should feel calculated, not casual. Each emotion you share should feel earned, not expected. And silence. Silence is your blade. Talkative men bleed power through their mouths. They confess strategy while pretending to connect. They answer every question, explain every action, and in doing so, they surrender the map to their kingdom. You hold still. Let their questions linger. Let curiosity ferment into respect. A man who doesn't overshare is seen as dangerous. They wonder what you know, what you're planning, what you're capable of. The tension you create by not speaking says more than any monologue, because silence isn't passive, it's provocative, and scarcity isn't weakness. It's dominance disguised as distance. When used together, they make you unforgettable. So remember this. Every time you speak too soon, you dilute your myth. Every time you show up too easily, you lower your price. Every time you offer too much, you train them to expect you instead of earn you. Stay scarce, stay silent, and they will chase you in the dark, begging for a glimpse of the fire you no longer hand out for free. You are not a friend. You are not a mentor. You are not a savior. You are an asset. And if you do not track your value like an asset, the world will extract it until there's nothing left but a hollow myth of who you used to be. Power begins not with charisma, not with vision, but with calculation. And the first calculation is this: who is eating at your table? And what are they bringing in return? Most people live in emotional deficit. They give without recording. They invest without returns. They confuse warmth for worthiness and generosity for strategy. Then one day they wake up, burned out, surrounded by smiling thieves wearing the masks of friends, colleagues, and family. Machiavelli wrote that men are more inclined to forget the loss of their father than the loss of their inheritance. Brutal, but true. Remove your money, your value, your influence, and watch how quickly affection curdles into silence. This is why you must build a ledger, not of dollars, but of dynamics. Psychological accounting, a system that tracks who drains you, who builds you, and who simply exists in your orbit, collecting interest on your effort. Start now. Audit your life with the precision of a sovereign counting troops before war. Who calls only when they need, who listens but never reciprocates, who drains your time with emotional chaos and returns nothing but guilt, who wins by standing near you but risks nothing to support you. Cut them, quietly, without performance. This isn't revenge, it's resource management. And then look closer. Who challenges you to grow, who amplifies your ideas, who multiplies your presence when you're not in the room, who shows up when there's no spotlight. Promote them, reward them, feed them first. This isn't cold, it's clarity. Every empire collapses not from outside invasion, but from internal rot. And rot begins when dead weight is allowed to remain out of nostalgia, fear, or emotional laziness. You are not a charity. You are an ecosystem. And ecosystems require balance, not sentiment. Build a tiered system. Not everyone deserves equal access. Some pay in loyalty, others in resources, some in opportunity. But no one enters your space without price, not anymore. Your time is currency. Your energy is investment capital. Your presence is equity, and every smile, every favor, every second must earn its seat at your round table. Create boundaries that feel like velvet and enforce them like steel. Let people feel your absence before they taste your kindness. And when they return, see if they come with value or just hunger. Because you are not here to be emptied. You are here to build, to reign, to last, and lasting requires accounting. The world doesn't follow truth, it follows timing. It obeys narrative, and it kneels before myth. Facts are heavy, Stories fly. Reality is dense, but perception. Perception moves markets, wins wars, elects kings. And if you master timing, control, narrative, and sculpt myth, you no longer play the game. You script it. Machiavelli warned that the prince must not only act, but appear to act righteously, strategically, decisively. Why? Because outcomes fade, but image lasts. The public doesn't track your plans. They track the performance. And every leader who survives the centuries knew how to direct the theater. Understand this. Your story matters more than your skill. They don't care if you bled in silence for 10 years. They care how you package the moment you rise. You could suffer for a decade and win once, and that victory framed correctly will make you immortal. But only if the timing is right. There's a reason ancient generals waited. They didn't strike when they were ready. They struck when the enemy was vulnerable, the winds favorable, and the audience desperate. Because the point is not to win. The point is to win with maximum narrative yield. You must do the same. Do not reveal your progress while it's still fragile. Hide it. Protect it. Let silence grow tension. Then unveil it like a weapon. At the precise moment, it creates maximum psychological imbalance. That's timing. Next, control the narrative. Don't tell the world what you do. Tell them what it means. Your product isn't a service, it's a revolution. Your comeback isn't survival, it's proof of destiny. Your decision wasn't risky, it was inevitable. You're not just succeeding, you're fulfilling prophecy. The crowd doesn't follow competence. It follows symbols. So give them one. And finally, forge myth. Myth is what makes you echo beyond your presence. A hardship overcome. A mentor you outgrew. A betrayal that taught you coldness. A war you waged and won without bleeding in public. These don't have to be fully real. They have to be emotionally true. Sharpen them. Sculpt them. Let people repeat your legend until they forget where the facts ended and the myth began. Because myth is armor. When they can't explain you, they respect you. When they can't predict you, they fear you. When they can't define you, they chase you. So remember, strike when it breaks the silence. Speak when the room is leaning in, reveal when they think you're finished, and rewrite yourself before the world gets bored. Timing wins attention. Narrative builds belief. But myth? Myth makes you unforgettable. Write yours or be written into someone else's. They don't follow you out of love. They follow you because they're afraid to lose you, or desperate to be near you. That's the architecture of control, fear, and desire. The two emotional pillars that uphold every throne, every empire, every relationship. Not morality, not fairness, not decency, just need and dread. Machiavelli said it cleanly, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But he never dismissed love entirely. He understood that desire draws people near, but fear keeps them in line. You must learn to balance both. Like a sword in one hand, a crown in the other. Desire is your bait. It is the perfume you wear when entering a room. It is how you make them lean forward when you speak. A crafted mystery, a curated presence, a value too rare to touch but too alluring to ignore. Desire is why they try, why they reach, why they sacrifice. But desire alone is weak, a luxury. If they desire you without fearing your absence, they will take you for granted. Use you, leave you, return when convenient. That's why fear is the chain. Not fear of physical violence, but fear of exclusion, fear of silence, fear of your disapproval, fear of what you know, what you could say, what you could withhold. When they feel your pull and dread your distance, you control the tempo of their soul. The lover who knows you can walk away without flinching fears, losing the privilege of your presence. The employee who knows you see everything walks straighter, even when you say nothing. The ally who knows you could expose their secrets thinks twice before betrayal. But understand this fear must be used like poison, not seasoning. If you dose it too often, they'll grow numb. Or, worse, plot revenge. The most effective use of fear is subtle, rare, and strategic. A raised eyebrow, a cold pause, a door that closes slightly faster than usual. Let their mind torment itself. That is more powerful than confrontation. Desire should be abundant enough to magnetize, rare enough to feel privileged. Fear should be dormant, but ready to awaken with terrifying elegance. Most people run from both. They don't want to make others uncomfortable. They want to be liked, not followed. Obeyed, but still adored. Fools. Control has a cost, and the ones who are most loved are often the least respected. They become providers of comfort, soft open depleted. But the ones who command, who bend rooms with a glance, they have weaponized both forces. So ask yourself, do they want you because you're available, or because you're scarce? Do they stay because they enjoy you, or because they fear what life feels like without you? If the answer is both, you've won. Master desire, then sheath it in fear, and you'll never have to raise your voice again. Power is not corruption. Power is oxygen. In a world ruled by narratives that shame ambition and glorify meekness, you've been programmed to apologize for wanting control, to hide your strategic mind, to lower your voice when it grows sharp. They told you that power makes you arrogant. That control makes you cold. That dominance makes you dangerous. They were right, and that's exactly the point. Power is dangerous. That's why those who lack it call it evil, because they fear what they don't possess and hate what they cannot command. But Machiavelli never saw power as vice. He saw it as clarity, as a tool, as a weapon, as the only language respected by kings, mobs, lovers, and enemies alike. He understood the one truth society keeps buried beneath its hallmark slogans. If you do not seek power, you will be ruled by those who do. Power is not about greed, it's about authorship. It is the difference between sculpting your fate or being carved by someone else's hands. In the absence of power, your value is defined by others. Your time is taken, your voice is dismissed, your presence is exploited, all while you're applauded for being selfless. But the world doesn't reward selflessness. It devours it. You cannot love freely without power. You cannot protect anything without leverage. You cannot even give generously unless you control what you give, when you give it, and to whom. Power is the architecture of freedom, not its enemy. And yet people confuse it with tyranny. No, tyranny is power in the hands of the insecure, the unstable, the unstrategic. But real power, earned, measured, mastered, is not destruction. It is structure. It is building systems that outlast emotion. It is protecting your name without raising your voice. It is influencing others without revealing the strings. Power is survival. In business, in relationships, in war, in peace. The woman who controls her time is feared more than the one who pleases everyone. The man who holds silence in a room is more respected than the one who fills it with noise. The leader who needs no approval owns the minds of those still begging for it. So when they call you cold, smile. When they whisper, ruthless nod. Let them speak. Let them squirm. You are not here to be loved by the powerless. You are here to bend the narrative, to write history while others read it, to master time, emotion, attention, influence, and sculpt a life that cannot be edited by circumstance. Because in the end, power isn't cruelty. It's command, and without it, you are not kind. You are simply vulnerable. Own it, shape it, wield it, because in a world that obeys strength, to not seek power is to surrender your name to someone else's story. In a world built on transactions, power is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Whether you lead a company, navigate social dynamics, or protect your peace in daily life, one truth remains: if you don't value your time, your presence, your energy, someone else will discount it. This is not about being ruthless. It's about being sovereign. Every relationship, every interaction, every ask is a negotiation. Most people give endlessly without noticing they're being drained. They confuse being liked with being respected and end up overexposed, undervalued, and replaceable. The lesson: start keeping psychological accounts. Audit who adds value and who takes. Recognize that your attention is currency. Your silence is leverage. Your absence is strategy. Use scarcity to raise your perceived worth. Speak less, Observe more, and never explain what should be self-evident through your presence. Understand that fear and desire aren't emotions to avoid, they're forces to direct. When people desire your approval and fear losing your access, they align. Not out of manipulation, but out of clarity. Stop performing. Start positioning. Because power doesn't come from how loudly you speak, it comes from how precisely you move. Live in a way that others feel your absence. Operate in silence, return with impact, and let every step you take declare one thing you are no longer free to access. You are now a standard to rise to.